Viggo Mortensen of Lord of the Rings fame. And guys, this is a very interesting article. And believe me, I've had a lot of trouble being interested in what's going on in Hollywood these days. Everything interesting right now is happening on television. I mean, when Mandalorian stops, I had a really hard time coming up with content. I mean, WandaVision's okay. It's starting to heat up, but there's nothing in the movie industry except for maybe the Justice League movie. But there's so little to talk about. Most of these Marvel movies that are coming out a year from now, 2 years from now. It's crazy. But okay, so we got some Magic Hour talk. Viggo Mortensen on Entertainment Weekly recalls turning down the role of Wolverine in the X-Men movies. Finally, something I can talk about because I know a little bit about this. We, of course, know Hugh Jackman got the role. But see, this is a thing you may or may not know. Hugh Jackman was not even the first choice. It looks like he's the third choice. I didn't know anything about Viggo Mortensen. This is totally new. But the thing is, Dore, I think it's how you say his name, Dore Scott, in case you don't know who he is, and you would know who he is if he had gotten that Wolverine role. Or he did get the Wolverine role. That's the whole point. The reason you don't know who he is because he had to turn it down. Why did he have to turn it down? He couldn't get out of Mission Impossible 2. He's the guy that played the villain in Mission Impossible 2. And I think Mission Impossible 2 was having problems with John Woo, and Tom Cruise wasn't getting along. I think Tom Cruise even had to take over some of the directing duties or something. It just wasn't going the way he liked. And so the production went over a few weeks, and Dore Scott had to dip out. He couldn't be on X-Men 1, first movie. I think it was just called X-Men. So yeah, that's a little Hollywood lore. Hugh Jackman auditioned for the role, and famously, I think his wife told him not to take the role. She didn't get it. He didn't get it. He didn't know anything about. It's so funny too. There's an article I read a long time back. Hugh Jackman didn't even know what a Wolverine was. He thought it was some kind of wolf. So he studied, like, I guess, some kind of wolf. He was acting like a werewolf, basically. Bryan Singer saw something he was doing that he saw on the Nature Channel or something. And he's like, dude, you know that Wolverines are an actual animal. You're not a wolf. So he had to go to a zoo, I think, and look at some Wolverines because he didn't know what a Wolverine was. So anyway, the role was offered to Viggo Mortensen, it looks like. Well, let's read what it says here. Within the multiverse of superhero franchises, there is an alternative reality where the Lord of the Rings star Viggo Mortensen took the role of Wolverine instead of Hugh Jackman and appeared as Logan across 9 X-Men movies, 11 if you count the time Wade Wilson wore a paper cutout of Wolverine's face in Deadpool and a revamp a scene from X-Men Origins Wolverine in Deadpool 2. But in our reality, that didn't happen, and it partly has to do with Mortensen's son, Henry. Appearing on the Happy, Sad, Confused podcast, Mortensen reflected to host John Horowitz about an early meeting with X-Men director Bryan Singer, and at that time, Henry thought the script was wrong, and Henry being Mortensen's son. The thing that bothered me at the same time was just the commitment of endless movies of that same character over and over. I was nervous about that, Mortensen said. And also there were some things, I mean, they straightened out most of them out, but I did take Henry to the meeting I had with the director as my sort of good luck charm and guide. In the back of my mind, I was thinking he could learn something too, because I did let Henry read the script and he goes, "This is wrong. This is not how it is." Singer apparently asked the child if he was familiar with Wolverine in the Marvel Comics. According to Mortensen, he replied, yeah, but he doesn't look like this. All of a sudden, the director was falling all over himself, and then the rest of the meeting was him explaining in detail to Henry why he was taking certain liberties. Mortensen continued. We walk out of there, and Henry asked if he will change the things he told him about, and I say, I don't think so. I'm not going to do it anyway because I'm not sure I want to be doing this for years. And then a couple of years later, I'm doing 3 Lord of the Rings movies, so who knows? So this is very interesting. So apparently there were some issues with the way Bryan Singer was portraying Wolverine. I have no idea what that was. We already know. Okay, let's look at the finished product. Wolverine's costume, for one thing, looked nothing like the comics. I mean, the comics, he's wearing yellow spandex. I got a picture of him right up on my wall. That's how Wolverine looks in the comics. Bryan Singer didn't think that would translate well to movies or film. So all the X-Men famously wore this black leather, which I thought was more badass.
You actually go outside in these things? What would you prefer? Yellow spandex?
We also know that Wolverine is very short. I think he's like 5'3" or something in the comics. He's very short. He's a little dude. He's like a Wolverine. Wolverines aren't big. So the character was supposed to be a small stature guy, and you got Viggo Mortensen, who's not a small stature guy, auditioning for the role. So from that aspect, I can see why his son might have a problem with it. But according to Mortensen here, he says that they changed a lot of the complaints that his son had. So was there something even more unusual about what Bryan Singer would plan to do with the movie? I don't know. It'd be really interesting to see specifically what his son wanted to be changed. Here's the thing. Here's the question. Would Viggo Mortensen made a good Wolverine? Apparently not. I mean, if he had taken a role and he wasn't committed to it the way Hugh Jackman was ultimately committed to it, I don't think it would have worked. For one thing, if you watch that original movie, Hugh Jackman was not roided out. He was a very lean dude in the original movie. So he committed so much to this character. He was so buff in all other movies. It kind of compares to Sylvester Stallone and how the original Rambo, he wasn't this hulking guy. But in later movies, he got bulked out. So I don't think Viggo Mortensen would have done that. Also, I think if that alternative history would have happened if he would have actually taken a role, he probably wouldn't have been available for the Lord of the Rings movies. And I don't think the Lord of the Rings movies would have been as good. Because I think really you needed somebody of his stature to make that film relatable. And the story behind Lord of the Rings, there was actually a younger guy that Peter Jackson had in that role, and he was not working out. And I forget the actor's name. I can't remember him. Probably the reason I can't remember him because he probably went on to do nothing after that. Because it's just one of those roles. There's certain roles that you can get in Hollywood. If you get that role, it makes your career. Even though Viggo really hasn't done a lot since Lord of the Rings, but you do know his name. Everybody knows who he is. It's kind of like Mark Hamill being in Star Wars, and pretty much that's the only thing he's known for, that and doing Joker in the animated DC things. But yeah, so this is very interesting. I think what was supposed to happen happened in this. It's fun to wonder what might have been. But at this point, Hugh Jackman is playing Wolverine for so long. I can't even though he's not right as far as he doesn't look anything like Wolverine in the books or the comic books, I can't see anybody else playing him. I think they got it right. And I think if you would have got a little short dude, he wouldn't have been as attractive to women. You know, how important were women to these films? I don't know. Can't answer that. So, yeah, I think they made the right choice. So, but that's the kind of thing I would like to see more now that all the movies that I want to see are being moved back. I need more articles like this because this is just terribly interesting and fulfilling.